So our organization called Institute for Human Development, IDH, was born in 2013. And I'm coming from an old militant background of civil society actors who was militing for human rights from 2000. On 2013, after the Tunisian political transition, I thought it was important to create a new generation of civil society NGO, which will be more, let's say, pragmatic in the work and less doing just going to the streets or signing petitions. For us it wasn't enough, and there was a free space to work, really. So I had this expectation with the creation of IDH, and the idea was also to create funny tools of training, so to create new tools to touch a bigger target, because we were a little circle of, let's say, intellectual militants, and there was no real free space. So on 2013 we started working, and on 2014 I started working on the paradigm women security, and also mixing it with some in relation to the CVE, countering violent extremism, new challenges. So my work as academic on Islamic studies, as PhD professor in university, was very useful to know the extremist discourses and manage to dismantle them, but to simplify these discourses in order to work with teenagers, with women, with everyone. So within the work on women's security and on CVE work, we made a big event on 2016 with the presence of Ministry of Women, with the Community of Democracies, and with some support of the High Commissioner of Human Rights from UN. And it was a milestone of the life of our organization. We had the nice surprise of having friends of the cooperation, Spanish cooperation, being present in the conference. And the name of the conference was Women, Peace and Security. So it was launching one of our strategic, let's say, subjects as organization. Just 1 month, 2 months after the conference, we had the contact of the Spanish cooperation and started discussion ways of creating a little program of 2 years on how to create a platform of women, of citizens working on this paradigm, women and security, how to create women working for peace, but women and men also, and how to create these ambassadors for peace. So the project was called Women for Peace and Security, and also sometimes called 100 Ambassadors for Peace. I showed you some slogans they wrote against terrorism, or they wrote in a song that we wrote, a rap song, mixing rap, African influence music and popular Tunisian music. They wrote the words, and they also wrote some slogans with a satirical voice and satirical message about terrorism. And we thought it was a strong messaging, and we were working on what was discussed in the conferences about counter-narrative, counter-messaging. But as you said, seminars are important to make, let's say, diagnosis, to make proposal, to discuss with experts, but are not enough. And I felt that maybe in my country, in Tunisia, where we were fighting against challenging problems of violent extremism, it was urgent to start working on the field. And for us, as the Tunisian national strategy against terrorism was written and launched, the civil society actor had the role to do more PVE than CVE. So we had
preventing
yes,
and countering.
yes, because countering is more working with maybe returnees or working on in prisons, which is more possible now. But when we started working on 2016, it was more possible to do PVE, preventing work. So we said, as we can do it, let's start to do prevention. And prevention is let's say, possible, and it will be a very good investment for the future. And I think it's, as we saw in our seminar these last 2 days in Casa Árabe about radicalization, de-radicalization is not so simple. And people are not agreeing, and programs are not always so successful. But for sure, prevention is more efficient. When you save a teenager, a girl or boy, when you save a woman, a man, it's from going to a conflict zone. When you help him reintegrate society, it's really a way to be a peace builder. So it's what we are trying to do as organization, and we are in a way putting our seeds in the young people. So we go to schools, secondary schools. As you saw, we have 2 targets, the 12 to 15, because we have 2 different secondary school level in Tunisian education system. So we have the 12 to 15 and then 15 to 18. So we go to the college and then to the lycée, and we were very surprised of the reactivity, of the energy, and of very refreshing way we were reacting, and what they offered us. We were every time learning also from them. So I think that the good balance of doing research as organization, because we have in EDH something called brain box, where we do research to prepare our action, but brain box doesn't have any sense if we don't, let's say, test our ideas in the reality and be more pragmatic. It needs more time, more, I think, generosity, and sometimes also more courage, because it can be challenging to go in vulnerable areas, in areas where there is some already the poor suburbs of the cities, or the borders cities and so on. But when you have a good network of actors already who you prepare, when you work on building some confidence in the society, I think that it can work in a way. Mm-hmm. In a way, our work, it's not just for Tunisia, it's also to share it as a good practice for our friends in the region, North Africa, Middle East, but also for our friends in Europe, because there will be a challenging, I think, question with the second and third generation of immigrants coming from Muslim communities. And I think that what we are doing with teenagers in the school can be a good practice that we will be happy to share. So in a way, yes, it's also working on counter-narrative, real counter-messaging, that it is working. But I would like also to finish with what you asked as how to create really an opportunity, because it's not about just talking together, it's also about opening spaces and also opening real opportunities. And we have a little project with American funding, which is called CAPEX, Cap Export, which is in a way linked on peace building, because we were trying to choose handicraft men and women, and some cooperative of 20 and 30 women from vulnerable areas are working now for us to improve their handicraft products in order to export them to the United States. And in a way, empowering economically these women who are coming from border areas, very poor areas, who were in top 10 areas of exporting fighters. It's in a way empowering the peace and empowering economic security.